for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We need to take a vote on expulsions from closed session. Can I have a motion on student expulsion case number 046, please?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Director Sheffield, second by Director Anderson. Roll call vote, please.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director...
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. A motion carries. And next we need a motion on student reinstatement, case number 13/14024.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Director Anderson, seconded by Director Pugh. Roll call vote, please.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Statements of abstention. Anybody? Adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to talk about E4, please.
Okay, pull E4. E4. And I have just an announcement about the agenda, and that is that our published agenda has 5 F items, F1 through F5. The one printed up there, for some reason, has F2 missing, but you can find it online. It is the adoption of the budget item. Okay. Board member requests for information. C6, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting held June 14th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Director Pugh, second by Director Fong. Roll call vote.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Abstain.
Director Anderson?
Abstain.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Okay, motion carries now. Brings us to C7, public comment on non-agenda items. It's the opportunity for public to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. It's a reminder that we cannot take any action or give any comment about the topics that you discuss that aren't on the agenda, and that if you have a comment about a staff member, that this is not the appropriate forum for that comment, but you would address that to an administrative staff member, not in public, so that they can proceed through the normal channels. With that, I will call Sandy J, and after that, Emily Winfield.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Sandy J. Oh my goodness, very cool. Thank you.
Good.
I live at 1424 Brookside Drive, and 2 of my neighbors and I are here to ask for access to the schoolyard of the Doyle Park Elementary School. I am one of the newbies in the neighborhood. I've lived there for 20 years. My daughter was raised there. We always had access to Doyle Park Elementary School after hours and on the weekends. We feel like the school is our community, and my other 2 neighbors will talk about that a little more. For me, my daughter learned to ride her bike on the basketball court. The janitor knew her by name and commented about how she was growing and thriving. I live actually right adjacent to the schoolyard, so the chain link fence is one part of my yard. For years, I have thrown away the trash, returned the balls, spoken nicely to the children who come to the back of my yard and say, "Here, little dog, come here, little dog." And she barks, of course, incessantly. So I feel that the decision to lock the schoolyard and make it not accessible to our neighborhood is not a community-based decision, in my opinion. We watch the schoolyard. I've called the police before when teenagers were up on the roof with their skateboards. We're good neighbors, and I believe that we would like to be treated that way also by the school. We've tried to talk to the principal. We were sent to the state office or the district office. They were told that you were the place to go. So that's my part of this story, and I'd appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Emily Winfield, and after that, Mary Ann Wade.
Hello, thank you for letting us speak. My name is Emily Winfield. My address is 1524 Brookside Drive. Now, I've been in my house since 1972, so do the math on that one. I've been a teacher for 33 years out in Sebastopol, Brookhaven Middle School. I am shocked that for the first time ever, that there is a locked gate with absolutely no access. As Sandy just said, I, my family, my daughter, all of our neighborhood, our block parties, we have all had access to the school grounds. We actually clean up. We find clothing that the kids leave on the field. We actually fold it up. We put it in a nice pile. The raccoon sometimes will overturn the garbage cans. We actually pick up the trash, put it in the cans. I'm really dismayed that we have a locked gate without access to a key. Even the current principal, Richard, I don't know his last name, he even said, "I will give you a key, even if it's one key. I can be vetted. I have absolutely a perfect background." But then he told me to go talk to Jim Morehouse, the Director of Operations and Maintenance at the district office. Jim Morehouse said his hands are tied, that it's board policy, and I guess this is a new board policy, that the gate will be locked. So it's very offensive to me. I think we are now tied into some of the homeless people who are using the field. They've been using the field for years. And it's ironic because the fence on the Doyle Park side is very low. It comes up to my shoulder. So they're all hopping the fence. On the Brookside Drive side, where we all live, the gate is 15 feet high. So it's rather not so much even an inconvenience. It's actually really awful to me that our neighborhood is locked out of our local school, where we have actually called the police, we've cleaned up the field, we keep an eye. Our neighbors are always aware of what's going on in the field. As I said, people are hopping the fence left and right, and it is unjust and I think unfair. So I think I'm done. I've stated my case. I think I've got 3 minutes, probably time's up, and then I will pass the microphone on to Mary Ann. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mary Ann Wade, and after that, Patricia, I can't read the writing, Aring.
Good evening. My name's Mary Ann Wade. I live at 621 Cotting Drive. My 3 children attended Doyle Park School. What we're actually talking about is now the French Charter School, just to give you the current update. It's been changed. As it was Doyle Park School, the kids attended there. We actually redid the field while my kids were in attendance. Those of us in the neighborhood not only planted the grass seeds, we mowed the grass because no one from the district could find their way to Doyle Park School at the moment. So we had to, that was part of the agreement, if we wanted to replant the field, that we would take care of it ourselves, which we did. There's about 6 people in the neighborhood that mowed the lawns, plus other people that were involved with Doyle Park School. When the library burned down, we were the ones that actually funded. I worked at the time at United Artists Theaters. I now manage Rialto Cinemas in Sebastopol, that we funded the new library with donations that we took in at the theater by poster sales and whatnot, and spent $2,000 for the new library. That my wife was on the board at the school, the kids were there. It is now their kids that we want to be able to play in the school. I have a 1.5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and the oldest had 5. So they're all the way from ages 6 to 17 right now that love to shoot hoops. And when they come down, they actually live in Clear Lake, but they come down, they want to play there, and it was always a nice, safe place to take them. Our only option is the streets. My direct across the street neighbor has 3 young boys. It's a nice gathering to be able to play soccer there. Last summer, we had numerous soccer games. When Emily mentioned, or Sandy mentioned block parties, the block parties are actually on the street. The kids would then go off while the adults were having their adult beverages to play soccer and to play basketball. It was a nice, safe place that we didn't have to worry about cars coming through because, as you know, you can't block streets anymore for block parties. So we would be down at the end where the school accessed so the kids could play safely. And we have always had access. It's only with the French charter school that we're actually dealing with probably 4 times the number of cars in our neighborhood now. So it was kind of a nice quid pro quo that, well, it's okay, we'll put up with this mess of people parking in our spots because we have access to the school after hours and during the summer when our kids can play. So we would like to have that access again. The principal is perfectly willing to give us access. Mr. Morehouse understood our plight, and he said it was a new policy. I'm not sure if there's other schools that are locked down. That would be interesting to find out. I think it's just that ours happens to have a fence all the way around. They only had to change the lock because the lock broke. It was not because there was any problems at all at that school. So that's really important to realize that it wasn't a safety issue. It was just, we need a new lock, so we have a new key. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia? Tell me your last name or spell it.
Okay, my name is Maria Patricia Arango.
And my name is Maria Aguirre, District Interpreter.
Thank you.
Ok, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es María Patricia Arango. Tengo 3 hijos. 2 de ellos están actualmente cursando en la Santa Rosa French America Charter School. Para el próximo año van a ingresar al 3er grado.
Good evening. My name is Maria Patricia Arango. I have 3 children. 2 of them are at the Santa Rosa French American Charter School, and next year they will start 3rd grade.
Soy una madre comprometida en la educación de mis hijos. Trato de estar involucrada en cada una de las actividades de ellos y como muchos padres anhelo ver a mis hijos con éxito escolar y por supuesto que ellos logren las metas y los propósitos en sus vidas.
I am a mother who is committed to her children's education. I try to be involved in each of their activities, and like many parents, I hope to see my children succeed in school and, of course, that they obtain their goals in life.
Poco a poco he ido aprendiendo acerca del sistema escolar americano. Como inmigrante colombiana, esto no ha sido fácil.
Bit by bit, I have been learning the American educational system. As a Colombian immigrant, this has not been easy.
Una de las cosas que se me ha hecho difícil entender es por qué el Distrito Escolar de Santa Rosa les da la opción a los jóvenes de la preparatoria para que ellos escojan las materias para su graduación.
One of the things that has been difficult for me to understand is why does the school district of Santa Rosa make it optional or give the option to the youth in high school so that they choose what classes they will take for their graduation.
Por lo que tengo entendido, ellos pueden tomar algunas clases que les dan los créditos para obtener el título de la preparatoria, más no los créditos para lograr llegar directo a la universidad.
As I understand, they can take some classes, some credits to get their diploma, but not necessarily the credits that they need to go directly to college.
En el transcurso del tiempo que he estado asistiendo a algunas juntas del DILAC, me he dado cuenta que padres de familia se enteran de esto. Okay,
Go ahead until you have 6 minutes.
ok, thank you. Cuando ya están casi en último grado, aquí es cuando la gran mayoría de los estudiantes no quieren continuar sus estudios, por lo que se les hace demasiado tiempo sus estudios.
As I have been assisting to the DLAC meetings, I have become aware that parents find out about this when their children are in their senior year, and that's when our students don't want to continue their studies because they feel it will take them a long time.
En mi concepto, las clases AG en la preparatoria deben ser obligatorias. Pienso que los jóvenes no se les debe dar esta opción, ya que para ellos la gran mayoría de ellos optan por lo más fácil, por el camino más fácil, sin pensar en las consecuencias futuras.
In my opinion, the classes A through G in high school should be mandatory. I think the youth or students shouldn't have that option to choose because the majority might choose the easiest path without thinking about the future consequences.
Por lo tanto, en nombre de padres de familia que están aquí presentes, en los que están ausentes inclusive por múltiples razones y en el mío propio, solicitamos a ustedes, la Junta Directiva del Distrito Escolar de Santa Rosa, tomen en cuenta, en consideración este tema para una futura junta. Aprobar una ley en las que las preparatorias o un requisito para que las preparatorias de nuestro distrito escolar tengan las clases AG como obligatorias. De esta manera podremos lograr tener más estudiantes en las universidades y hacer que nuestros hijos tengan un mejor aporte a esta gran nación. Muchísimas gracias y buenas noches.
So, in my name and the name of the parents that are here and those that are absent for many reasons, we request you as the board of the district, Santa Rosa City Schools District, to take in consideration this topic for a future meeting, to approve a law in which all the high schools in our district make the A through G classes required. In that way, we can have more students in universities and our children can better offer more to this great nation. Good evening and thank you for your attention.
Muchas gracias por escucharme.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Martinez?
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es José Martínez.
Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Jose Martinez.
Soy padre de un estudiante en el distrito de Santa Rosa
I am the parent of a student in the district of Santa Rosa,
y un miembro de la comunidad
a community member
que se preocupa por nuestros estudiantes aprendices de inglés.
who worries about the students that are English learners.
Y mi punto el día de hoy es también referente a las clases de A a G.
And I'm also here to speak concerning the A through G classes.
Me gustaría que el distrito de Santa Rosa ofreciera solamente clases que preparan a nuestros aprendices de inglés para ir directos a la universidad.
I would hope that the district offers only classes that help prepare our English learners to go to college,
Ya que muchos de nuestros estudiantes aprendices de inglés tienen el potencial académico para tener éxito en la universidad,
because many of the English learners have academic potential to go to college.
pero lamentablemente, como muchos de nuestros estudiantes aprendices de inglés son clasificados, como se dice aprendices de inglés, piensan que ellos no tienen el potencial para ir directos a la universidad y solo se les ofrece darles clases regulares.
So many of our English learners, unfortunately, are classified just as English learners and are considered as if they don't have the potential to go on to college.
Ya que en algunos otros distritos de aquí del estado de California se ha comprobado que en donde se ofrecen solamente clases para prepararlos para la universidad, el número de graduados es un porcentaje más alto que el que demuestra aquí en nuestro distrito.
It's been proven in other districts that when only classes or the classes that are given are focused toward the university, more students graduate.
Y aquí ante ustedes hago la petición para que en un futuro se ofrezcan solamente clases a las cuales van a preparar nuestros aprendices de inglés para ir directos a la universidad. Nuestros estudiantes tienen el potencial de tener un éxito académico.
So I make a petition that the English language learners have classes to prepare them for college, as they do have the potential to go further in their education.
Y con el apoyo de ustedes se puede cerrar esa apertura que existe en nuestra comunidad, en nuestros estudiantes, para que esa apertura que existe entre los estudiantes se cierre y todos tengan éxito académico.
With your support, we can close the gap that now exists between the students so that they can all succeed.
Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, there are no more blue cards. Brings us to reports, Santa Rosa Teachers Association. Will Lyon.
Good evening. I'm William Lyon. I'm the Vice President of SRTA for a couple more days. President Ola King Clay is representing us at a National Teachers Association conference. So we wish her well and thank her for that hard work. I want to tell the board and the district office level administrators and everybody else who's listening, which I'm sure includes all 990 SRTA members via YouTube who aren't here. I want you to know that I love and respect you all. In a Center for Spiritual Living sort of way, I do love and respect everybody here, each and every one of you. I believe that all of us are doing our best to do the most amount of good for the most amount of people. Usually, we're squarely focused on kids, but there's a lot of adults who need some good too. And things are getting better. All the time, things are getting better. I believe all of that. And to balance that out, I'm nearly the president of this labor union. There are natural dilemmas that come with that have to be grappled with. If SRTA's goals are too soft, that's a problem. If our goals are too tough, that's a problem. If we are deceptive, that's a problem. If we're too honest and open, that's a problem. If our tone is too toxic, that's a problem. And if we're too lovey-dovey, that's a problem. And there are more dilemmas, and all of them require balance. Politics is the art of compromise. Speaking personally about me, I'll add in that I want to be a good father. You may know I have a 6-year-old son. I want to be a good husband, and I want to stay happy and healthy and rested so that I can enjoy this almost as much as I enjoy the classroom, which is considerable. And the next 2 years is going to be a balancing act, and I'm excited for that challenge. So I wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about big picture stuff, nothing in the minutia, but some things that we're doing right that I hope that we keep doing, and in some cases, I hope we can open up some doors for a reset so that some of the stuff that isn't working well yet can get better. As you may know, Saturday is the day that I'll become the first full-time president in SRTA history. It's a 2-year pilot for SRTA. I don't know how much of the history you guys know, but in February of 2018-19, so a year and a half from now approximately, our members will have an up or down vote to continue with full-time president or to go back to 40%. My goal is to demonstrate to our members that a full-time president is a valuable asset worth paying for. And as I devote my full professional life to being the president, I think communication between SRTA and the school board and the district at level administrators and the site level administrators, I think all of that can increase, and I hope that the board and the district will come to see a value in having a full-time president too. I had a very nice meeting last week with Diane, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you for that. We agreed that we should be in constant communication. We agreed that she and I would work on big picture stuff and that I and SRTA would work with other members of the team on the minutia. So I look forward to continue working with Jason and Anna and Rick and Steve. I think there's a lot of mutual respect there, I think, and I'm sure that will continue. I have not yet met Andre, but I've heard lots of good things, and I expect that will be a good working relationship as well. Oh, there it is. I hope all of you from time to time will be willing to have coffee with me or a meeting. I expect that we'll be in constant communication through phone and email, so I look forward to that. We also want to open lines of communications with the school board, or keep those open. SRTA is asking each of the school board members to have coffee or tea with one of our exec board members from time to time. President Jen Close and I were coffee buddies last year. We had I think we met 3 times last semester. I really appreciated that. I hope you got a lot out of it, as I did. I hope that we can continue doing that. I also hope that as president, that I can call on you from time to time for meetings like that, with an eye towards keeping lines of communication open. I think we can agree that open lines of communication will help all around. I'm particularly optimistic about the Labor Management Collaborative, which came out of CalTurn. I think you guys know quite a bit about that. I think it's an excellent place for us to solve problems before they become headaches. I'm particularly glad that Anna and the LCAP team has agreed to discuss next year's LCAP throughout the year. I think it would be great if we could stand shoulder to shoulder with you next year and proudly put the LCAP forward together. I hope that's true. Our team participated in what's called effective decision-making training through Ed Burgess. I think Diane talked about that last time. I really liked that, and that was a CalTurn thing. It turns out I'm a warrior. I don't know if you knew that. Ola is a lover. I think Diane maybe is a visionary. She's got some lover in her too, I don't know. We learned about 4 roles of decision makers: the lead, the follow, the oppose, the bystander. We've been using that in our meetings as we make decisions. I'm told you guys are working on that, so I think that's going to help us co-determine the direction of the district together if we can make decisions in a meaningful way. I think the oppose is the one I'm the most nervous about. I'm going off script just for a moment, but I've noticed that the union is often in the position of the oppose, and I think that's kind of a natural thing. I think that one of the biggest takeaways for me is that the oppose is valuable and that it helps make the end product better. That doesn't mean we'll oppose everything, but I have also heard from a few of you some of the obstacles of communication. I've heard that you don't want to be yelled at. I've heard that you don't want to be misquoted or misrepresented or insulted. or lied to. I have also heard that you would like to give site administrators a chance to solve problems at the site level before those concerns are brought to the district office or to the school board. You have valid concerns, and while I cannot control all 990 of those members, as long as I serve as president and the official voice of SRTA, I remain committed to being professional, collaborative, and caring. If I get the facts wrong, I hope you'll tell me so I can correct the facts. If I cross a line on tone or mood, or if I hit a trigger or a sore subject, I hope you'll tell me so I can apologize and do better. I won't minimize your concerns. I hope you will refrain from minimizing our concerns too. I want to thank outgoing President Ola King Clay. I love and respect you all. I really love her a lot. She served us with honor, and to borrow a phrase from sport, she's left it all on the field every day for SRTA. As a nod to her, I would like to close with the song lyric. I'll let you be in my dreams if I can be in yours. Bob Dylan said that. I love and respect you all. I said that and I meant it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. CSEA, is Tammy here? Okay. Superintendent report.
The administration also received the training that Will was talking about, so I look forward to us working together to implement what we've learned. I just want to do very briefly recap summer school. We are in the midst of it and actually having some programs end this Friday. The Elementary Margaret Ed Investigation Summer Camp had 260 students. This Friday from 8:30 to 9:30, they'll be showcasing their program. We had Project Make. You know, we've been doing that now as a, I think Director Pugh helped us get connected with the Make, Dale Doherty. And so his initial seeding of that program has continued on. We had 100 students participate, and that will be this Friday as well, their showcase from 10:20. This year we worked with, every year we've worked with the City of Santa Rosa for the Mike Hauser Academy, Algebra Academy. In past years, we haven't been able to get as many people to participate or kids to participate, but what we did this year, and thanks to CNI and their imagination about this, we combined it with what we call the Move Academy at Piner. And so there were 116 incoming ninth graders who participated in the combination of the Mike Hauser Algebra Academy and the Move program. Their showcase will be on June 30th from 12 to 1 at SSU. The list of participants in terms of business organizations that invited our ninth graders to their organizations is absolutely unbelievable this year. And so what we've heard is there's even greater interest for more businesses to become involved, to work with our students, going as into their businesses to make the algebra come alive. So very excited about that. Our high school credit recovery program is at Piner. We have 455 students participating in it, 650 scheduled for next session. We have math, science, English, and social studies. To date, these students have already earned 686 credits, and so we're very happy about that. And we've been able to keep the class sizes down to about 26, 28 students. And then finally, we have our extended year program for special education. And these students, 250 students have been able to participate in all kinds of different transitional programs. So we're very pleased about our entire extended learning program this summer. So.
Sounds great, thank you. I don't have a report tonight. There are no board committee reports, so board member reports. Director Sheffield? No report. Director Anderson?
Well, since I missed the last meeting, I didn't get a chance to say how much I enjoyed attending the graduations at Ridgeway and at Santa Rosa High. Thank you, Director Fong, for letting me go to the Santa Rosa High graduation. Both events were extremely joyful and just great to be part of.
Director Pugh? No report. Director Fong? Director Christoph? CSBA and NSBA? No report. Look at us, moving right along.
I do have just
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's very easy to
Did you
forget.
I thought you said no.
Yeah,
I apologize.
Just a CSBA quick update. I thought it was interesting that I don't believe it appeared in Press Democrat, but the governor and the state legislature just gave themselves a 3% raise. And this is the 4th year in a row they have given themselves a raise. And it's not that they're not deserving, and they took a pretty big hit in 2008. But I would like all of us to remind our legislators that our school systems could surely use a 3% raise or a 4% raise here, and that the funding formula is a nice idea, but it's not adequate. Thank you.
I agree, Director Christoph. Good point. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. We need a motion for E 1 through 3 and 5.
To 21.
To 21.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Director Pugh, second by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Okay, motion carries, and that brings us to E4. Director Christoph, you wanted to pull this item?
Yeah, this is, I think, the second or third time I've asked to talk about this a little bit, and I'm sorry to belabor it, but I don't see, I'm not sure if I would be saying, I'm pulling this off to vote against a donation, but obviously after a few years of looking at these summaries for the donations, there's some glaring inequities that are involved in our school system. And when you can, give a classroom, say $1,000 more, $2,000, or $3,000 more at a particular site, there's something that we need to talk about. So my thought is not to vote against this, of course, but maybe ask the board if they would entertain having a discussion about how we conduct our foundations and how we conduct our donations, and maybe see if there's some equitable solutions from within.
Thank you, Director Christoph. I share your concern, and we discussed at the last board meeting, actually, that we need to talk about a district-wide foundation to deal with just this issue. So, yeah, we're on the same page on that, and I think that we'll probably bring a discussion item sometime soon on this issue.
Fine, thank you. I move item E4.
Moved by Director Christoph, seconded by Director Pugh. Roll call vote, please.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Fong? Aye. Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Okay. With that, we go to the F items. F1, discussion item reviewing the Santa Rosa City Schools English Learner Master Plan.
Good evening, President Close, Superintendent Kitamura, members of the board. Tonight, with Director Romo Flores, you will be getting an update on the English Learner Master Plan. It is completed, and we're very excited that it's completed, and we look forward to sharing this information with you tonight. So with that, I turn it over to Director Flores.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening we're going to be looking at data, and this data will emphasize the need to adopt a comprehensive English Learner Master Plan, and more importantly, to implement this plan in order to ensure that we are serving our English learners well, and that we're preparing them for their future, whatever they choose to do beyond Santa Rosa City Schools. So as you've heard before, over a quarter of our students are English learners, and as our logo says, we've made a commitment to every student to give them every possibility, no matter what. So we're going to take you through some data, and this is enrollment data, and I'd just like to explain the the second column, which is Never EL. And Never English Learner means English-only students and students that scored proficient on their initial CELT test, the California English Language Development Test. So those are initially fluent, proficient students and EOs. So that's the new category that the state is identifying as never EL. And the next column is the reclassified fluent English proficient students. These students started off as English learners and have met the criteria to be reclassified. And the last column, English learners. And so at the elementary level, we're going to be looking at the total figure. We have it broken down for you by elementary schools and charter schools, but we're going to be focusing on the cumulative. And at the middle schools, we do have it broken up by middle school and high school, and we're going to be presenting the data later on, broken up by middle school and high school as well. So I'd just like to start off with a prologue from the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Education. As you can recall, when I presented last time in May, we used three tools that the state, the U.S. Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Justice provided to local education agencies. And that was the Dear Colleague letter, the English Learner Toolkit, and the Newcomer Toolkit. And in those documents, they have referenced these expectations for English learners, that EL students will require full and equal participation within a reasonable length of time. They should be offered English learner services toward earning a regular high school diploma, that they need the opportunity to be competitive in meeting college entrance requirements, and should be provided the opportunity to graduate on time with the prerequisites to enter college. And I just want to point out that this is not an expectation for reclassified fluent English proficient students. This is the expectation for all English learners, whether they're newcomers or they are early advanced, advanced, or intermediate, regardless of their level. This is the expectation for all English learners. This also is the expectation that EL students must have access to grade level curricula, that they are equally entitled to participate in all programs. And so we're going to just look at how we're doing and where we'd like to improve. So this is our 2016 data, and this is a pie graph of how many of our English learners are enrolled in A through G biology courses. So we have 205 students, or 11% of our EL population, enrolled in A through G classes. 26% of our reclassified fluent English proficient students are enrolled in A through G biology classes. And 63% of our never ELs, or English only and initial fluent English proficient students, are enrolled in biology courses. And these are courses that are required to take the pathway to college. So these are A through G courses that our parents are advocating for. And in geometry, we have 8% of our English learners enrolled in A through G geometry courses. 27% of our RFEP students are enrolled in A through G geometry courses, and 65% of our never ELs are enrolled in A through G geometry classes. In AP and IB, just as a reminder, we are the goal is to make sure that we are providing access to all of our offerings. And for our EL population, only 2% of our English learners are enrolled in AP or IB classes, advanced placement or international baccalaureate classes. 26% of our reclassified fluent English proficient students are enrolled in those classes. And 72% of our never ELs are enrolled in those classes. So we're also going to share with you some SBAC comparisons of how different groups of students are doing on the SBAC, which is the new standardized test that students are taking. And this next graph is the number of students that are eligible to take the SBAC. So we have, the SBAC is given in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 11th grade. And so we have 53.9% of our total school population that are eligible to take the SBAC. At the elementary, we have 43.9% of our total population that can take the SBAC, and or that take the SBAC, and 57.8% at the middle school that can take the SBAC, and 61.5% at the 11th grade. And this is for our never, yes, thank you. This represents our never EL, so our English only and our initially fluent English proficient students. This next graph is also for our never ELs. It's, again, our English only and initial fluent English proficient students. And the red bar is the total percent of enrollment. So those are the total number of students that are eligible to take the SBAC. The blue is the percent of students that met or exceeded the English language arts standards on the SBAC. And so that's 73.2%. In math, we have 76.8% of our never ELs that are meeting or exceeding the SBAC standards. This next graph is a comparison between the never ELs and the reclassified fluent English proficient students. So I'm going to have you look at the reclassified fluent English proficients, and since we just covered the never EL, but I'd like you to compare the two. So we have 20.5% of students that are eligible to take the SBAC. And these are RFEPs again. And 21.6% of those reclassified fluent English proficient students met or exceeded the English language arts standards on the SBAC. And 17.1% met or exceeded the math standards on the SBAC. Now I'd like you to compare the three groups: the never EL, the English only and initially fluent English proficient, and the reclassified fluent English proficient. And now we're going to look at the English learners. So 25.6% of our students that are eligible to take the SBAC are English learners. 5.2% of them met or exceeded the English language arts standards on the SBAC. And 6.1% met or exceeded the standards for math on SBAC. So there's a huge disparity there. That's it right now. So our English Learner Master Plan is imperative to address this disparity. We absolutely have an achievement gap. And not only with our English learners, but also with our reclassified fluent English proficient students, where language is no longer an issue. And so we really want to make sure that our English Learner Master Plan is well understood, and most importantly, that it's implemented, because our students need more services, need more support, and we need to ensure that they are excuse me, that they are meeting or exceeding standards. So the EL Master Plan is heavily focusing on professional development, because we think that's critical to ensure that we are closing that achievement gap that exists currently.
So here we have these comparisons broken up by the grade levels. So you can see that our EL's population is higher in the elementary levels, and these slides duplicate the slides that you saw before with the never EL, the RFEP, and the EL with the comparison data. This one's elementary.
Thank you, Anna. And this one's a middle school. So 7th and 8th grade.
And just as a reminder, we test 3rd through 8th grade and 11th grade.
And the final one's 11th. So, as I mentioned, there's a big disparity, there's a big achievement gap that we would definitely need to address. And so, through the work of the Yale Master Plan Task Force, we have identified these three as the main goals that that came from our work with the EL Toolkit and the Newcomer Toolkit and the Dear Colleague letter. From those documents emerged these 3 goals that we've adopted as our own. The first one is to learn English quickly enough and fluently enough to participate in academic work through integrated and designated English language development. The second goal, to learn grade-level mathematics, reading, language arts, social studies, and science according to the California standards. And 3, have equal opportunity to participate in all programs. So those goals, from those goals emerged the content of our English Learner Master Plan. And in your packet, you received the executive summary of each of those chapters and what they entailed. This plan has been shared with, of course, all of the members of the task force, which included parents and teachers and classified counselors, community members, parents, administrators, and we also shared this plan with CSEA leadership and also SRTA leadership for input and feedback. And we hope to bring it back to you in August for approval. And I'd just like to take this opportunity once again to just thank the EL Master Plan Task Force, who dedicated many, many hours of their personal time to create this important document, and of course the parents that were the driving force behind it, that were very vocal about what they want for their students and the dreams that they have for their students. And so we're very proud of the work that was done with this English Learner Master Plan, but we will be even more proud when we implement and see better results for our English learners.
And with that, we turn it back over to the board, but I do want to commend Director Flores for her hard work in this. This is a big lift, and this was a big focus of her year. A lot of time, energy, and passion and belief that all of our students deserve the same education. So I would like to publicly thank her for that. And with that, I turn it over to the board.
Thank you. I have a blue card, so questions, comments, Director Christoph.
All right, Shelley, thank you very much. I know how much work there is involved in this, and I think our hearts are all in the same place. We want what's best for these kids. There's no question about it. I don't have any specific questions on the master plan at this time, but I do have some comments I think I'd like to share because you know, there are things that I've been concerned about for many years, and I think much of this is being addressed now, but there's a certain amount of a few things that are beyond our control in terms of the resources that are necessary to really lift this load. I remember the Ted Sizer book, Horace's Compromise, where you talk about all these wonderful reforms that you do to help schools out. And at the end of a session one time, I saw this on video. A question from the audience was, well, what do you do with all those kids that are behind grade level and who don't speak English, and those kids that have traditionally been down at the bottom? And his answer to that was to, quote, quickly remediate. And so what that says to me was that's not an answer. In other words, those children had still been left behind. I'm hoping with what we're doing here that we're taking that leap, that we're going to develop practical programs that really do assist those children. And this is no easy task, and I've had a chance to travel internationally for some years now, and I always ask questions about schools. In the Netherlands last year, I was so impressed by the fact that so many people spoke English and German and Spanish and French, and then they were learning Chinese and so on too. A small country does a lot of exporting. They have to have that kind of background. But they are also feeling the effects of worldwide immigration. And they've got newcomers coming in from the Middle East and from North Africa and from various parts of the world. And so my question was to a couple of educators there, what do you do when you have these people come in that don't speak Dutch, don't speak any European language, that may have only gone to third grade or second grade in their home country, and they shrug their shoulders? Because I don't think anybody has the answer for this. So I think we're on the cutting edge still, but we're not alone in this whole process. I think that in recent trips to Mexico, one last year to the state of Jalisco, and then to Nayarit, and recently to Oaxaca. I get to go to schools and see the school children, and one of the things in this last trip I noticed was that so many of the kids were working like vending or working, helping their parents. And I went to one place where there was hand carvings, and the 10 and 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds were doing this intricate painting of these beautifully hand-carved, animals. And they will do this until they're 25 or 27, or until their eyes go out. So they're working with their, working there in the shops. They're working, helping their parents on the farms. They're doing a variety of things. What is apparent is that they're not in school. Then there is the school system, say in the town of Oaxaca, and the kids are all dressed in uniforms, are going to school, but the schools are very intermittent because they're interrupted by strikes and because of the government issues and so on. And then some of the people we met had kids in private schools kids were fluent in English. They had learned all these things. So my point being that when I look at our neighbor, where we're getting most of our second language learners, this spread is huge for me in terms of kids that have never been in school, have no acculturation to being in school, to kids that have really had a very privileged background. So when we look at these kids, I know we assess them and we put them in certain categories, but for me, the whole important thing is to look at them as individuals as much as we can. Because you can be I'm a student of language. I have no expertise in EL development. But at the same time, I look at these kids and I go, well, this kid maybe passed a CELT 2 or 3 test, but really has no feel for school. So I don't know how we nuance a lot of this stuff. But I sure hope that we can develop programs that take into consideration all these various aspects, whether a kid's been vending on a street and never been in school, whether a kid's been in public schools in, say, Mexico or Guatemala, and then those kids that have really had that privileged background. Obviously, these kids all deserve something, but their skill levels to get them college ready are all over the board. And I sure don't want to be forcing kids into situations where they're not comfortable. So I look forward to that pragmatic approach, that puzzle, how we solve that puzzle. And I just want to, again, thank you very much for all the stuff you've done, regarding this. I have passed your report on to several people that I have a lot of respect for, that are experts in the field, and I'm awaiting their feedback, and I surely will pass that on to you as soon as I get it. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Director Fong.
This is a phenomenal piece of work to you and the committee. I think some of them are sitting up there, all the work and everything you know about ELs. You are truly experts in the field. You work with these kids every single day. I certainly have had many years of experience with students too, ELs. It's quite comprehensive. I'm very proud of that for you guys. So just some questions, and I know you have answers to these, so I just wanted, I haven't read all of this in great detail yet, but thank you for this. So we got to hear the data. Thank you for pulling that together. An observation I'm making is the gap is widening in high school for all different reasons and all the things we know about. I mean, I got to watch kindergarten this year, and I saw some non-English speaking kids come in at age 5, and by the end of the year, they pretty much were fluent in terms of that. They were right there where they're supposed to be. What happens in grades 4, 5, and 6 where they're falling behind? I don't know. You may have answers to that, and you're going to be addressing that. I see that you have a lot of teacher development here. Teacher training, and I know this is a long-term plan. It's a very long-term plan. But Ron, you mentioned this, and I've read it too, where you quickly remediate, and I don't know what anyone is smoking when they say anyone quickly remediates anything, so I don't know. But I see the comprehensive long-term plan in here. But I also see where every teacher who has an EL in class, and I'm talking about long-term ELs now mostly, where that nut is a little tougher to crack than I think in elementary school, that when they have one student in their class, for example, a science class, and I've seen this, I've lived this, or 3 or 4 who are non-English speaking, and they've got 33 jammed into their 9th grade science class, how do we teach those kids? I think it is near impossible to teach those kids and keep everybody going, and the teacher does not have enough expertise, enough support. They have expertise in science, they don't have expertise in teaching ELs, despite our CLAD and SEDAI and everything like that. So that's part of your teacher training, I think, but also that is very difficult. I'd like to see, maybe this is already in here and I didn't see it, I'd like to see more work on LCAP Goal 2, where especially in high school, secondary, I take that back, throughout, family support, because I'm guessing that the kids are falling behind because at home, parents working, possibly low income, immigrant status, whatever, they're not getting that kind of support. And I see in high school that long-term ELs, they are giving up. They're just giving up. They don't have an academic persona. And also, we get a lot of newcomers in high school as well. How do we tailor it to those kids, and how do we get them through 4 years of high school learning English and that? And some do. Some manage to do that very, very well. But the majority of them do not. And so how do we set them up for success? And it's a tall order, and I'm right behind you, and I wish us all the best. But I think the whole emotional, social support, college, the A to G, the parents that talked about A to G, thank you very much. That is true. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Director Sheffield?
Thank you, Director Flores. This was a very insightful presentation, and I know that this is a very daunting task, and we do not have an easy road ahead of us. There was just one of the slides early on, it was the 4th page, the enrollment, the data quest enrollment. And just one thing that stood out to me was the EL enrollment charter versus the elementary schools. And, you know, not a dig on charters, I'm just wondering, you know, this is such a huge percentage difference. I have ideas how that could be explained, but maybe you have some explanations or some ideas or what we can do to sort of, I don't know, bring that percentage a little bit closer.
I can speak to charters a little bit. It used to be a hat that I wore, and I still wear a little bit. A couple years ago, we did add some different admission requirements that gave sort of more weighted points to students who qualified for free and reduced lunch, and so therefore giving more opportunities. But as you know, with charter schools, they are schools of choice. They're not necessarily neighborhood schools. Charter schools don't offer busing, so that also can be an issue. And so it would be interesting, I guess, if we could do this at a report when we come back with charter school information to pull over the last couple of years with the change in admissions with Element H, if that has changed the demographics of our charter schools.
Well, one thing that you know this brought to mind was I had a conversation with a family, actually, with a young middle school kid who was translating for me last summer at the downtown market, and they were under the assumption that these charters were private schools and that they didn't have access, that they were immediately shut out. They had no idea. And I know communication is an issue as well. But.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of the teachers at the Charter for the Arts, and she was talking about how they need to do a better job of advertising their charter school, because they're like, why wouldn't ELs want this? This is such a great opportunity for them. So we really do need to do a little bit more to publicize them, and to, maybe something I can take to DLACS. I can share what each charter school does and offers. But but maybe at the at the preschool level, that we need to be doing some marketing with our charter
That would be
schools as
something
well.
I'd like to see. Well,
Just to
thank
give
you.
them choice.
Thank you.
Great question.
Okay, thank you for the report and all the work on this really important job for a quarter of our kids. That is a huge percentage, and we need to serve them as well as we do everybody else. And I know there's a lot of parents who worked on this, and teachers and community members, so thank you for your work on this as well. This is really important, and we appreciate your input and passion on the subject. I had a couple quick questions. I know that there are some parents who are resistant to EL designation or getting extra services, and I'm wondering how many and what we're doing to adjust that. I know you have to go, but you bring them back every year to talk to them about that, but is that something that like our family engagement coordinators work on? Is that?
We actually don't have too many. We only had, that I know of, we only had one family that opted out of EL services in the district. And again, that's the only person I know of because we don't have systems in place. And so we just put that system in place last year. But in terms of all schools really understanding it and the steps to take, I'm not sure that that's happened yet. So that's part of the work with the EL Master Plan, is to make sure everyone understands that parents have the right to opt out of EL services. They don't have they need to understand that what that means is their child will still be classified as an English learner, and their child will still have to take the English language proficiency assessment every year until they're reclassified, but it does opt them out of the designated ELD. And so, we need to explain to parents that that it's a good program, that it benefits them. So there's a lot of explanation that needs to happen. And so really I think that that's something that we need to make sure that all of our principals are well versed in, and that they could speak to the advantages of designated ELD so that they could have those conversations with families. The family engagement facilitators are there to translate if needed, but really the principals need to understand that really well so that they could communicate that they are still going to be classified as English learners, they're still going to be assessed every year, they're still going to be held to the reclassification criteria, and we're going to monitor them for 2 years to ensure that they are not falling back on their academic gains.
Okay, thanks. Speaking to the quick remediation comments, I think that's one thing I like in the plan, is that the attention to having a better system for identification, right? Because you can't even get to the remediation part unless you're identifying well and quickly. And then I just realized that my other two questions were answered. One more, question and comment about the charter school issue, because that struck me too, just the difference. Although I'd be interested to know how many people are not registering because there are barriers to registration or barriers to understanding the opportunities, and how many are registering because they're choosing their neighborhood school. I mean, to me, I think our charters offer something extra or different at them, but there's some real advantages to being part of your neighborhood school community, and I think probably a lot of families choose that. So while I do want to make sure that everyone who wants an opportunity to go to a charter has it, and that our English learner students are not missing out on the opportunity, I think it'd be interesting to know if the difference is also attributable to just a commitment to a neighborhood school, which I like. But that would be an interesting question to answer for me. Thank you. Dr. Fong.
One of the lenses that I like to use, excuse me, is, and you reminded me, is barriers. When we look at why things aren't happening, why they aren't going to charter schools, or why they aren't going to A to G courses, or whatever it is, what are the barriers to that happening? And then look at how we remove those barriers. That's a really strong lens, and it kind of gets straight to the thing. So if a science teacher can't teach 3 non-English speaking kids in a class of 9th graders, what barriers are there? And is it just teacher training? What barrier is it to an 11th grader who is giving up and won't even carry a backpack? What is that barrier? And I think really the SOL counselors are in a great position to leverage that and to pay attention and be right there, their elbow partners, to break through some of those attitude type barriers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They've done a great job there.
So as we wind down this item, I appreciate all the board's comments about this. And I just want to end by reminding, or maybe putting in my 2 cents, that the first thing we need to look at are the barriers that we are doing, we are creating. I don't want us to focus on it's a child's barrier or a kid's barrier. And so I appreciate your point of looking at more than looking inward. We need to look at inward as a district about what we are doing to create those barriers. What are we providing? And more than that, we know that the systems we have in place are not working, hence why we need the EL master plan. What we're going to bring forward to propose to this board for approval is going to be radically different. It's going to be different because we know that the programs and the way that we're offering our curriculum and instruction right now is not meeting the need. And so I look forward to the board hearing what we're going to bring forward in terms of those changes. And I want us to always remember to focus on it's not the child. It's what we need to do as an adult community to ensure that the children are getting access to what they need to achieve. And I would even say, let's not even use the word achievement gap anymore, because that puts it on the kid. Let's look at access and opportunity and what we are doing as the adult community to ensure that every child is getting A through G in order to go to college. So, and let me, before people get crazy on me about this, I still am saying I'm not purporting wall-to-wall A through G. But we do need to look at the fact that our students have to have access to A through G. We cannot be the gatekeeper for that.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. F2. Thank you. F2 is the action item, adoption of Santa Rosa City Schools budget for 2017-18 school year and statement of reserves.
Good. Good evening. My name is Andre Bell, and I'm the superintendent. I'm still learning the title, trust me, of business services. And we're here to present the adoption of the 17-18 budget. And also, this is Joel. He's the brains behind the organization. And we're really brand new, but we're both happy to be here.
And before you get started, Assistant Superintendent Bell.
Yes.
I'd also like to introduce Luz Caceres, who has been graciously helping us this whole last spring to get us to this point. And I'm very grateful and thankful for all of her help and the transition that's going to be happening beginning tonight. So, Assistant Superintendent Bell.
Yes, I'll work on that, I promise you. So, as we like to begin with the annual budget cycle so that you have a clear idea. And where we're actually at right now is we just completed the third interim. We're in the process of getting the unaudited actuals together and the budget audit actuals and the budget adoption, which will be going to the county, and when we, September, should be having an approved budget from the county. So the budget process, as I just stated, the next, after the adoption here, will go to the county for approval, and it must be done by September 15th of this year. What could trigger the county office head to approve or disapprove the budget is basically on the assumptions that the district will not be able to meet its financial obligations for the next year and 2 years plus going out. But I believe we have a plan that that the county will proceed and approve our budget as we submit it to the county going forward. So The good news is the governor signed the budget last night, so we can all say, yeah, there is a budget. And the addition of the one-time discretionary funds, and those funds have been included in the budget as far as the preliminary budget aspect. So as any organization, you can see here where we have a $172.7 million budget, and the majority of the budget is spent on staffing and personnel, 75%, and non-personnel, 25%. The multi-year assumptions and where we try to draw the line, our attention to here is the spending reductions. The district made significant spending reductions in the 17-18 year budget of $4.56 million. We project at the current time that in 18-19 we're going to have to make an additional $5 million reduction, and in 19-20 that would be an additional $2 million going forward. Basically, the increase of STRS and PERS rates will also have an effect on our budget as we go forward, but that's to be determined as the state and the governor tells us what that rate is going to be. We use these assumptions based upon what we know now, but those rates could increase. Of course, we could be lucky and they could go down too, but life doesn't always work that way. So we'll just have to make safe assumptions with the rates that we have now. So what we have done here is given you basically the forecast of the revenues and the expenditures as we see them going forward. And then equally, as we add in each case, we make those deductions in 18, 19, 19, 20. And as you can see, if we make the $5 million, and it has to be ongoing into 1920 for a total of $7 million, that will get us to our 3% reserve, and we will have a small, unappropriated, unassigned balance in each of the following years going forward. So our plan is that we're going to request that we form a budget advisory committee. This committee would be made up of stakeholders from the community, as well as the unions and the board if so desires. But what both me and Joel come from districts that have budget advisory committees. And they're very effective because the budget is known to the community and how it's developed. Currently, the budget is developed almost in a silo, and most people don't know the components of the budget or how it is affecting one aspect of the budget to the other. So we suggest strongly that this advisory committee be formed. We will come back to you with how we believe the makeup should be and get the board's priorities as into the budgets going next year, so we can have a dialogue with this committee to formulate how we are going to move forward with the necessary steps in the budget going forward. The FitMat study that the district undertook, which was good, they took a proactive step in doing that, and we are going to, as a cabinet and as a unit, we're going to make sure that we address those aspects of the FitMat report and bring back to you how we plan on enacting those procedures going forward. The Budget Act, like I said before, is all based upon approval by the county. It was already been approved by the state. The county is the next, you're the next part to approve it. Then we take it to the county, and then we'll come back to you within 45 days with an update on where we stand with the budget, because we'll have a better understanding of it at that point. And fall enrollment is basically to make sure that we clearly have the enrollment and ADA that we projected in our budget to proceed and have a balanced budget going forward. And I didn't put the last slide in, but here you go, questions.
Director Kristoff.
Andre, thank you.
You're
Joel,
welcome.
thank you very much. Just a couple of things. The governor's budget was signed, and we waived 98 again, the test fee, is that correct? In other words, there's no money there, but there's one-time monies that you said are not.
Discretionary funding is one-time funding.
But that's not in our budget here.
No, it's already included in the budget.
It is included.
Yeah.
What's our share again of that?
It should be about $2 million.
$2 million.
As we see it going forward.
Very good. And then my other question is on, let's see if I can get the page here, on your multi-year projections. This is page 1 of 2, and we're at expenditures, and we go from 129.3 in 2017-18 all the way up to 135.8. So that's what, $6.5 million in 2 years in increased expenditures. What's that attributed to?
Basically, that's probably going to be attributed to stepping columns and raises that we would already have. You know, that's still a personnel cost for the most part.
Okay. Now, my thought was that it was $1.5 million a year, so approximately on step and column. But I'm not sure, Luce, is that correct? Are we?
It's about 1.8 million in step and
column each year.
And then the other part of the increase is the STRS and PERS.
STRS and PERS too. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Director Pugh?
I'd like to make a motion if it's appropriate.
See if there's any other comments.
Sure.
Any? Director Sheffield?
Just the proposed budget advisory committee, and wondering what some of the roles might be. Would this include some communication or messaging to the public
Yes, sir.
throughout the budget process? I know that when people hear numbers, and whether it's at the regular board meetings, or what they read in the paper, or information just gets out there. There's so much misinformation that does get out. And where does it go from there?
Well, once again, when you form the budget advisory committee, that's one aspect, because basically, community and as well as the board will have a better understanding. Plus, we would plan on having town hall meetings at various sites to include and invite the public out so that they can hear firsthand where we stand and where the budget stands. So it's not just the committee itself, and then, as we say, reporting to the board, but the outreach to the community, at various sites and locations that we plan on also having, so that they, the community can come in and get input on the budget and where the status of it is.
Thank you.
Director President Close, I'd also like to address your question, Director Sheffield, and that is our awesome communication coordinators will be on the ground floor with these meetings, and so we will create the press releases and the stories and not wait for anybody else to do it, so that we can get the information out that's correct and accurate. So thank you for your point.
I think they're going to bring back a proposal for the way the committee will work, both the composition and the roles and responsibilities. So I just, real quick, before Director Pugh makes his motion, I just want to welcome Andre and Joel again, and say thank you to Luce and to the staff for filling in the gaps while we were awaiting your arrival.
Thank you.
I'd like to move the adoption of the Santa Rosa City Schools budget for the 2017-18 school year and the statement of reserves as presented.
I'll second.
Moved by Director Pugh, second by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. All right, we have a budget.
Thank you.
Carries, thank you. Okay, F3, moving right along. Action item, adoption of local control accountability plan for the elementary district. Good job. Congratulations.
Gotta grab my papers. Good evening again, President Close, Superintendent Kitamura, members of the board. Tonight we come back with the elementary LCAP for approval. At our last board meeting, we did the public hearing, and so I turn it back over to the board.
Questions or comments from the board?
I'd like to move for the adoption of the Local Control Accountability Plan known as LCAP Elementary District.
Second.
Moved by Director Pugh, seconded by Director Christoph. Roll call vote, please.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Motion carries. You're that good, Director Diesel. It's just
Thank
that
you.
quick.
It's been a huge,
It's a huge undertaking.
it is, but it's also been a group effort, so.
Yeah. So let's do it again for the secondary district, F4.
Yes, I turn it back over to you, but before I do want to make one quick correction. The Mike Hauser Academy is being sponsored by Keysight, and so that change has been made and will be, when it's submitted to SCO, that correction will be there. I turn it back over to the board.
Thank you. Director Christoph.
I'm glad I didn't have to do that project. Thank you, Anna, very much. Thank you, team, too. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Moved by Director Christoph, seconded by Director Fong. Roll call vote, please.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. All right, motion carries. Congratulations. It's getting easier and easier, right?
Okay.
F5, review and approval of board policies, the 1000 series. Lori's favorite.
Is this where the policy is located that locks the fields of the elementary school? Because if it is, it would be nice to bring that policy forward to the board for reconsideration.
We will re-review these policies, determine that. My recommendation is that if you would so choose to approve, we could bring that particular policy back.
That would be swell.
Yeah, I would like to look at that policy because I think we have public schools that are part of our community.
Yes, I was quite surprised by this information tonight, so we will definitely be reviewing this.
So that policy is not part of the 1000 series?
No.
No, because I didn't see it in there, right?
I didn't see it. No. Director Christoph.
Yeah, I think it's, let's see, it was just a typo, but maybe I shouldn't care about it, but it's page 40. Anyway. Let's see, there we go. And there was, at the end of number 4, any complaint alleging fraud shall be referred to the California Department of, there probably should be something in there.
Oh, yeah. Department of.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't know what that is.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Page 4, do we know what?
Education.
Policy?
Which one? It is.
Should be the top one.
Yeah. Let's see, that's,
1312.3D.
yeah.
1312?
Dot 3.
5 CCR 4611.
1312.3.
Thank you.
Parens D.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, with that change, do we have a motion to approve?
I'd like to move the review and approval of board policies 1000 series as have been amended.
Second.
Moved by Director Pugh, second by Director Christoph. Roll call vote, please.
Director Pugh?
Aye.
Director Christoph?
Aye.
Director Fong?
Aye.
Director Anderson?
Aye.
Director Sheffield?
Aye.
President Close?
Aye. Motion carries and we are adjourned.